All right, and as usual, we'll begin with ABS website. Remember, you can be part of the discussion by calling the phone lines that will soon display on your screen. You can contribute, make comments, ask questions on issues that will be coming up from the papers we'll be reviewing this morning. But remember that when you call in, you lower the volume on your TV set or you step away from it so that we won't be having callbacks. And as well, ensure that the words you use are well suited, but don't come insulting or calling names. Just make your point, let's hear you, and maybe the people that should hear that will also be watching also to make those decisions. All right, we begin with ABS website, and there we have the stories making the headlines there. Anambra state government debunks fake news and rumors of sale of Oka Stadium, says it is developing it and does not plan to sell it.
The State Assembly election. INEC commences distribution of electoral materials in Anambra.
Tony Ma's boss, Enukeme, drums support for APGA candidates.
Anambra Information Commissioner Adenoba calls for massive support for APGA State Assembly candidates. Police ban concealment of vehicle plate numbers.
Finally, Chief Major Ume appeals to Anambra to vote massively for APGA House of Assembly candidates on Saturday.
All right, those are the stories making the rounds on ABS website. If you want to get the details of these and more stories there, and as well watch some of our videos on the site, just go to ABS website, www.absradiotv.com. And like we said, you can call us in and make contributions. Anambra State government debunks fake news and rumors of sale of Oka Stadium, says it is developing it and does not plan to sell it. I think it's usually the period of rumor mongering, and it's not surprising that you see government being on the defensive this time to allay fears of people on some rumors or propaganda that will be propagated by maybe opposition to the government and some other people who might not be properly informed about what is happening.
And then if you're not informed, you should ask questions. Okay? Make sure you have your facts before you carry out this kind of expensive rumor. I know what happened at Onitsha, Chuba Ibazo Stadium. That was about 2-3 weeks now, when the director of Sports Commission, Tony Lee, came to tell them that this place will be renovated, will be closed down for some time for renovation. And then people went talking. A whole lot of news came out, okay, which he came and explained to them exactly. And that's what he said was exactly what he's doing. And in a very short time, now the stadium will come up again.
All right.
So get your facts straight before you start talking.
We have someone join us. Hello. Okay. Let's continue with the discussion. INEC commences distribution of electoral materials in Anambra. March 9, that's 2 days away from now, will be the State Assembly elections, particular to Anambra. Then in some other 29 states, there will also be gubernatorial election, but Anambra's case is peculiar with other 7 states of the Federation where gubernatorial elections are staggered. We had our own in 2017, and this time around, we'll have the opportunity to select or elect in our different constituencies 30 members of the State Assembly. And INEC has commenced distribution of materials now 3 days before the election. Maybe that's a show of seriousness and commitment to delivering a free and fair election.
I think it was like that. It was like that during the presidential and National Assembly elections. And I want to give it to them because before now, we used to have problems of not having these materials on ground on the day of election. Okay, it will be about 12 o'clock in the 12 noon. People will be calling from different wards or polling units to tell you that they've not seen INEC and their materials. But this time around, I think they have stepped up their game.
Yes, the story have changed. The places where there were such recorded incidents were very few and mine, especially in Anambra, where we covered extensively. I think is a step in the positive direction. and we encourage that things get better. Maybe some of those lapses we registered during the February 23 elections will not be noticed this time around.
It's supposed to be an improvement.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Tony Maspo Senuke made drawn support for APGA candidates, and you very much know that this is where we are now, the mobilization time, okay? Everybody will want to mobilize to make sure that we'll get it right. Yeah, hello. Who has joined us? Okay, nobody. Anambra Information Commission Adenoba calls for massive support for APGA State Assembly candidates. It's the same story. Mobilization support for APGA candidates so that we'll have a very smooth government in Anambra State.
Right, this story is very important. Police ban concealment of vehicle plate numbers, especially for this election. I think it's a step also in the right direction by the police to ensure that there is a reduction in how people use government or whatever VIP status to carry out crime during elections.
Then let's watch and see how far this one can go. I know, yes, I know when they talked about the banning of siren and all the rest of it, but that's still there.
I think the very problem we have with Nigerian institutions is implementation of bans,
of policies, not just the bans,
yes,
policies. Okay, very good policies, but then how do we implement them? Do we even supervise the execution of the policies?
Exactly, and then you see some people who, will I call it superior to the law, and then they're exempted from the rule, and the policy just gets spoiled again, because there are people who maybe have been considered saints who are above the law. And I think this time around, if the police must get this one right, they should make sure that everybody or the implementation of this policy is ensured and that everybody responsible for this is taken care of. All right, let's move now to the Punch news, the papers that we have this morning. We'll begin with the Daily Times, and on front page of the Daily Times we have Presidential poll, Tribunal grants Atiku PDP access to inspect election materials, refuses requests for forensic analysis. That's beside the nameplate there. All right. Governorship Assembly polls, go out and vote. Buhari charges Nigerians, pledges to work hard to transform Nigeria. Says use of technology contributed a lot to his emergence as president. Federal government to raise 1 trillion naira from treasury bills in Q2, that's the second quarter of the year. IGP redeploys 7 DIGs, 10 DIGs, others for March 9 elections. Politicians plotting to assassinate bomb, disrupt Saturday polls. That's coming from Buratai, the Chief of Army Staff. And then we have the last story there. Election violence. Wike sets up committee to identify victims. We'll still take more stories from the papers in a moment. Stay with us.
Here is a public service announcement. Anambra State government cancels collection of levies and fees in all markets in Anambra State. This is to inform the public that Anambra State government has cancelled the collection of all forms of levies and fees in markets and streets in Anambra State. The cancellation will be in effect until 1st June 2019. The 3-month cancellation period is to enable government and leadership of the various markets to deliberate and agree on a better and more effective model of collecting fees and levies in the markets. The public is hereby also reminded that the ban on sales of emblem is still in force. Anybody caught violating this cancellation and ban on sales of emblem will be arrested and prosecuted. This is for the attention of market unions and their leadership, traders, security agencies, and the public. Announcer, Mr. C. Don Adenoba, Honorable Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment.
All right, still good morning, Anambra, and we are reviewing the papers, the stories, making the headlines across national dailies and on ABS website this morning. And we have joining us Dr. Dennis Ekemeze, a public affairs analyst on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave and DJ.
Yes, good morning and welcome.
Dal.
All right, we'll continue now. Let's go back to the Daily Times. Some of the stories there. We have on the front page of the Daily Times, we have "Go out and vote. Buhari charges Nigerians, pledges to work hard to transform Nigeria. Says use of technology contributed a lot to his emergence as president."
Yes, it's imperative that the president made that statement, because how I wish he will also sign the electoral act so that it will empower the effective use of electronic machine, both in voting and then transmission of results, so that it not waste time. Nigerians, especially in the Anambra, we should know that this is the right time. The last lap is on Saturday. Everybody is expected. Eligible voters ought to be there and then cast their vote.
Before we get to that, do you agree with him that technology contributed to his emergence as the president? Which time? Is it the first time or this second one?
Well,
because I know there's this problem that we had in the north, that most of them voted manually.
That is his own opinion. That's the presidential impression, and the calculation is that in some places, yes, manual voting registration was used, and then in some places, electronic card readers were used. So, comparatively to his own advantage, according to him, it helped him.
All right.
Let's look at this too. Presidential poll, Tribunal grants Atiku PDP access to inspect election materials, but refuses request for forensic analysis. So what are they going to inspect?
They calculate these results and then look at the result sheets, and then, part of he looks which one is there falsification, is there alteration, is there what do you call it?
Inflation.
Inflation of figures.
And you think they won't get that with forensic analysis?
Well, it's even part of that. What we said, that the president should also sign the electoral act to empower the use of electronic devices.
All right, let's run now, because of time, to the Punch newspaper. On top of the page, we have federal government IOCs lose 684 billion to oil pipeline shutdown. IG deploys DIGs 227 CPs for March 9 elections. Alo Akala's radio station bars Makinde from live program. Osibanjo leads APC mega rally in Ogun. Allays fear of violence. Then the major story there, Tribunal grants Atiku access to inspect pool materials, reject forensic exam requests. Buhari have subverted Supreme Court, SVP may not get justice. That's coming from Abakoba. Those are the stories that we have on the front page of the Punch. We also have Obasanjo's criticism of Buhari driven by ego, says Buhari organization. EFCC arraigns Lagos prophetess for defrauding company of 25 million naira.
So many headlines.
So many headlines there.
But look at the Abakoba's submission on the Atiku going to court. He said he may not get justice because that the president, Buhari, has subverted Supreme Court.
Well, we know Abakoba, learned gentleman, former president of NBA, and then civil society activist. And, earlier he said that he requested the Atiku not to go to tribunal. He made that suggestion. And he's now alleging that fear that because of what the wranglings in the judiciary between the president and the removal of Chief Justice and the institution of another Chief Justice, the parallel Chief Justice in the country, because MBS still maintain that Onohe is the Chief Judge of the Federation. So based on his experience, and he has been a very long time lawyer in the tribunal. So he's saying it out of experience.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you agree with him do you agree with his submission?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a
Somebody has
lawyer. I'm
joined us.
a layman.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Yes, Barrister Auntie Joseph on the line. I'm reaching you from Okahio.
All right, go on.
Yes, I want to say something on the grant of access by the court for Article to access the electoral material used during last election.
All right.
And the refusal to grant forensic tests or whatever. I want to say that it is really very sad that court will refuse forensic analysis, because that will strengthen our democracy. For instance, you as a voter, if you know that at the end of the election, that whatever thing that was done during the election will be subjected to forensic analysis, then you will simply go out there and vote. And it will minimize the fraud and the rigging. People will know that at the end of this nonsense, it will be subjected to forensic analysis. So it will.
Yes, Barrister, but
I wonder why court will say no to that.
Barrister, but the Electoral Act hasn't permitted that. If you've read the judgment given by the judge in charge, he said that according to the Electoral Act, I think section 15 or so, that provision for forensic analysis wasn't provided. So it might be out of extrajudicial for him to have granted such analysis.
And that's why I said earlier.
Listen, you see, under the inherent jurisdiction of a court, court can go ahead and do what is needful. Anything court, that is why you say, and further orders.
Okay.
In your prayers, so that when we court look at it and say, yes, this will strengthen the democracy, you go ahead and grant it. That is under the inherent jurisdiction of the court.
Okay.
So it mustn't be in the constitution before you say, yes, this will help our democracy.
All right. Thank you very much, Barrister
Barrister.
Joseph Anganti. We'll run to now, we no longer have time on our side. We'll now run to the Nation newspaper, and on front page of the Nation, pool. Parties join forces in Oyo, Kwara, Benue, and Lagos. We also have other stories there. Tinubu rejects Atiku's plea for rejects Atiku's plea for forensic analysis. We also have microfinance banks for 774 local governments. Any candidate boasts I'll win Lagos. Then we also move to the Guardian newspaper now. On the front page of the Guardian, fresh outrage at use of soldiers for election. Fresh outrage at use of soldiers for election. And we have the riders there. Women want deployment of troops stopped. Clark, Pandef, IYC condemn use of soldiers. Army plans tough action against riggers. How Air Force Air Chief siphoned 12 billion by EFCC. So those are the major stories we have on Guardian. Most of other stories are still the same. All right, those are the, how far we would go on the newspaper this morning. But in 30 seconds, what's your take on soldiers during an election, the use of soldiers during elections?
Well, it's part of the flashpoint areas where they're supposed to patrol and then make sure that the security is maintained, additional to that of the police. Because you see, like in Rivers State and some part of Bayelsa State.
Maintain security and not engage in killing people.
I said maintain security.
All right.
That is more appropriate. And then to augment what police has provided.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's how far we'll go on newspaper headlines this morning. And the discussions will continue, especially on the issue of using soldiers during elections. But for now, we'll bring you a discussion segment for this morning. Stay with us.